Hey everybody, welcome back to the Iron Tequila Podcast. It's Tequila Papi. I am here with some special guests tonight, and we're going to talk about brotherhood and bullshit and the importance of having a brotherhood in your life. I'm going to go ahead and let the guys introduce themselves.
I'm Sean the neighbor.
We'll just call me Rod the Bod.
Rod the Bod and Sean the neighbor are two of my favorite guys, two of the biggest fans of the Iron Tequila Podcast, and they are members of my personal brotherhood, group of us, eight to 10 guys who have been hanging out for about, 9 years now?
I would say, yeah, at least 9 years.
At least 9 years. We've been hanging out pretty consistently, and I invited these guys over tonight to talk about what's important about having a tribe, having a crew that that you lean on in tough times. And I want to open it up by talking about what do you guys consider what does having a brotherhood mean to you?
I mean, I'll go first a little bit. I have a couple different groups that I hang out with.
Yeah.
I have some groups that are more professional, some that are probably a little bit more
not
personal.
Us.
Yeah, definitely.
That's not us.
Not the professional, no. But, one of the things that I have going is, we're in a Bible study together, Jordan, myself, Daniel, who happens to be my accountant. Another guy that I talk to quite a bit is Kent Owens, my financial planner, stuff like that. But, I know you don't like to get too religious with this thing or whatever, but for me, it's important to have certain people in different settings. So, my financial advisor, my attorney buddy, my accountant buddy, all these different people. It's pretty big. We talk about different things. And then I also have my Rude and Crude group that we talk about things that are a little bit more probably off color.
And that's us.
That's definitely you guys.
That's us.
Yeah. So I'm in a few different groups for a few different probably reasons, but there's value in both of those, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good dynamic to have different groups of men who are friends on different levels, and the professional group is valuable in certain ways.
The trick is to never let either one of the groups meet each other.
They don't meet. It's like your wife and your girlfriend. They never meet.
Yeah.
And you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Sean, the neighbor.
Yeah. I think that I also have separate groups, but they all come together kind of at different angles of the same purpose. Mm-hmm. The Rude and Crude, we're still going to go be a band of brothers. We're going to go fight. We're going to go win. The ones that probably keep me a little more straight and narrow, it's still about winning and whatnot, but it's from a different angle.
Yeah, so you have a couple of different groups as well.
Yeah,
and each of those groups bring different value to your life.
Right.
And what brotherhood means to me is just having. First of all, this is one of my brotherhoods as well. You guys are part of my Rude and what would you say? Rude and Crude crew as well, and I have different groups of friends, but. One of the biggest value propositions I think that brotherhood brings to me personally is just having a group of guys that hold you accountable. They motivate you. They're there to prop you up when you're going through tough times. And I was going through tough times about 9 years or so ago when we started our Thirsty Thursday group. And it was critical in helping to prop me up and to motivate me and to keep me going when I was going through tough times. So, I want to thank you guys for being part of that and for your contributions and keeping me going when I didn't feel like it. I didn't always feel like it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about any specifics on how you and I met?
Well, we don't have to talk too specific. We can leave it at. You found me when I was at the lowest point of my life, and you're well aware of the history that led me to that point. And looking back on that, it's been almost 10 years now for me going through my divorce, and my ex-wife carrying on a relationship with the neighbor, and a best friend, and I think that's an important point to bring up, because the meaning of brotherhood, it's not just friends, right? Because my ex-wife was screwing around with my best friend, right? I thought he was my best friend. Turns out
he's in the rude and crude group.
He's in the he's below the rude and crude group. But you think there's throughout life you'll run into people who you think are your friends, and it turns out that they're not necessarily have your best interests in mind.
So you're friends with us because we would never bang your wife,
right? And I also don't have a wife for the same reason.
That's why we're so friends.
Yeah, you get a wife. Oh, watch out, buddy.
Why do you think I didn't expect this? Why do you think we all have two different groups roughly, of like a little bit of a party group and a little bit of a more moral group?
Yeah, I think I think each group brings different dynamics, different value propositions to your life. And you guys talked about your Bible study group, and that tends to be a more professional group. There's opportunities to network and to build each other on certain levels, certain aspects of your life, which tend to be more productive, maybe. And that's valuable in its own right. But it's also important to be able to let go, to loosen up and just hang out and have a couple of drinks and shoot the shit with some guys, and that brings its own set of value to a relationship.
You think it's like you're around a group of people that you aspire to be, and the other one's just like who you are? Like you're being both simultaneously. Man,
that is a great point, Jordan. I think because I'm a firm believer in
let's just go, Jordan.
I'm a firm believer in the truth that iron sharpens iron, and so birds of a feather flock together, and you also become who you hang out with. So to your point, the value of hanging out with people who help you grow and rise to their occasions. So if you hang out with guys who are better than you in certain aspects of life, then you're learning and growing as an individual. So that's a tremendous amount of value that they bring to your life.
Yeah, that reminds me. Like years ago, I heard this saying, and it's probably from some book that I can't quote properly or something like that. But it was basically saying that like there should always be like 10 people. Like you have you should land somewhere in the middle of this lineup, for lack of better words. There should always be like 2 or 3 people above you that you're aspiring to be more like. There should always be like a couple people around you, maybe one above, maybe one below you in the middle, where you're kind of like this nucleus, and then below you there's people that you should be trying to bring up by their bootstraps.
Yeah.
And so like if you have like 10 people, the closest 10 people in your life, yeah, you have this group that's up here, you're somewhere in the middle, you have this people below you, you're learning from these people are learning from you, and then as those people come up, they have people below them that they're bringing up. So it's kind of one of those things where like, yeah, it's that old thing, that old saying that like you are who you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a value to actually like having someone that you're giving some kind of knowledge to, or some kind of, you're benefiting someone else. It's kind of like that full circle thing,
I think that's the biggest issue with like common social media posts is like, surround yourself with the person you want to become. But frequently people forget about mentoring those behind us as well, and the value of that, reminding yourself of what you came from and what you have been, so you don't make those same mistakes, while also focusing on who you want to be.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We do spend a lot of time kind of self-focused on what can we get out of the group, or how can we benefit from the group. But it's equally as important, to Rod the Bod's point, to bring people up, to mentor others and bring others up in our journey.
Yeah, I think the reason why that resonates with me a little bit is like I can think of some personal experiences. Like 2 guys come to mind right now where I have been a mentor to them and in business and stuff like that, and bringing them up. I've learned actually probably as much as they have in that situation where I was supposed to be the one teaching and going through the process and trying to like view things through their eyes and kind of tailor what my message is to them or someone like them. And I'm like, I'm learning as I'm mentoring. So I think that there's a valuable aspect to that.
Well, like Papi's been in real estate twice as long as I have. And yet he's done all the things that I want to do. I got a different spin on it sometimes, but he's able to constantly be like, I've tried a little bit of that. Try it this way instead. I've already done it the A way. Try it the B way. So it's not like a complete hamper of like, don't even try. You're just always like, yeah, I've done a lot of that too. So so you're kind of in the rude and crude, but you're also in the aspirational category all at the same time.
Just maybe the value of having some life experience to bring to the table a different perspective that you might not get from other sources.
Right.
And the rude and crude side, like, you know, I think there's a place in all of us for that. Like, everyone needs a little bit of rude and crude. Like, every once in a while you're down in the dumps, you need someone to have a dick joke. You need someone to say some shit. That's okay. Like, we don't all have to be prim and proper and say the right thing at the right times all the time and this and that. Like, say that dick joke.
Well, and it keeps you humble, right? You need those friends that are...
Well, it depends on your dick, but...
Well, it's important to have those elements in a tribe, in a crew, a squad, someone who can lighten the mood, and we don't have to be professional all the time because we're all human at the end of the day, and we're all struggling on our own in our own ways, and you got to have that humor.
Yeah, I'm like reminiscing. I'm thinking about like this conversation I had with one of my buddies, going through a hard time, marital problems, stuff like that, going out for a beer, and honestly, like it was a dark conversation, this and that, and like it was just a funny dick joke, or it was just like one of those things, and it lightened the mood so much, like got the guy to laugh for probably the first time in like 6 weeks. And I remember that it was probably more well needed than what the joke garnered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, all right, life moves on. Like, we're gonna be fine. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that's one of the best parts of having a brotherhood is having somebody who can lighten the mood, who can recognize that maybe you're struggling, and can bring some humor into the conversation and maybe redirect your mood and kind of lift you up. All boats rise.
Yeah.
Kind of element. Okay, is now a good time to take a break?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Iron Tequila Podcast. We're your hosts, Tequila Papi and Jordan Martis. In the coming weeks, we'll be starting our new series on the 21 life skills that you need to master that will pay you forever.
This is going to be things like the ability to sell and negotiate. Sales is one of the highest paid skills in the world, especially high ticket. Communication between people. If you can increase your communication skills and learn how to listen better, people will like you more. Also, things like perspective, understanding others and clarifying your own. Discipline and discernment are also part of this, and we'll talk about all these.
We'll be diving deeper into these subjects and as well as all 21 of the life skills that you need to master to pay you forever. Join us in the coming weeks. You're not going to want to miss this one on the Iron and Tequila Podcast.
Hey, it's Tequila Papi. Welcome back to the Iron and Tequila Podcast on the episode of Brotherhood and Bullshit. Rod the Bod and Sean the Neighbor and I are talking about the importance of having a brotherhood, and we're going to talk about some personal life experiences that we've each had individually, wherein a brotherhood came in to our lives and was invaluable in helping us achieve success or overcome some obstacles of some sort. And you know, for me, guys, I can think back to when I was in the military. The military is obviously one of the more well-known brotherhoods, and You're going through training, you're going through difficult times, you're in adverse conditions and difficult, challenging experiences. And, for me personally, I was 18 years old going through basic training. I went on to some specialized training in the military, and some of the hardest training that the military has to offer. And I think back at the time when I'm 19 years old at the time, and I hadn't really struggled much in my life to that point. I had a pretty good upbringing, never really had too many challenges until I got into the military. And the value of having a brotherhood was significant for me personally when the inclination to want to quit when things get hard arises, right? You're faced with really physically demanding, challenging activities in the military, and you're sleep deprived, you're hungry, you're tired, you're cold, you're wet, and you inside you just really want to give up. Your body wants to quit, and the mind is usually the first thing that quits. The mind will quit before the body will, for most people. And that, for me, the value of having a brotherhood is where, guys are doing things that none of us want to do. We're all pissed. We're all hungry. We're all tired. And your brothers are the ones who lift you up and carry you on. They motivate you, and they keep you in the game when you don't want to be there otherwise. So for me, my first aside from playing sports in high school, I wrestled, and so it was more of an individual sport. I didn't really do too many of the
hopefully it
team
is.
sports. Yeah, for the most part, it's an individual sport. But for me, it was joining the military, 18, 19 years old, in training. And it was really the first exposure that I had to the value of a brotherhood. Do you guys have any personal experiences that maybe you can think back on that led you to recognize the value of having brothers and a squad in your life that helped you out?
Go ahead, Sean, the neighbor.
Well, a couple of things I'm thinking about, which is one, I was in the military as well. The thing that is that I didn't pick those friends, and I see a lot of other folks that are out there specifically trying to curate this perfect group rather than just like, these are the guys you're going to war with, this is what you got, let's rely on each other. And so similar to how we met at Thirsty Thursday, we just started going out. It's not like I knew you or even liked you at the time. You were some random dude that was wearing gold chain necklaces and but after a period of time hanging out and whatnot, I found value in everybody that showed up constantly. Everybody brought a specific frame of reference to what they could bring to everything. And so through that, through the background in the military, I think the biggest thing I've learned is that you just got to go out. You got to find guys to go hang out with and share life with, and they may not be, exactly in tune with everything else you do, but that's kind of the value. Like, we're all different. Like, you're vastly different than me. Rod the Bod, same thing. But once we start throwing out those ideas, once we start sharing some of our experiences, you have so many things to offer and advice and different things. And so I guess my advice first and foremost is just like, go do it. Go find somebody to hang out with.
Find a tribe.
Yeah, because I have so many married friends, dudes that are, they just hang out with their wives the whole time.
Yeah,
they have
that sounds
nobody to
awful.
bounce something right.
No, and I don't even mean that to sound shitty. Like, I love my wife, but it sounds awful to think that that's the only person I'd ever have to bounce not only ideas but emotions or whatever. Like, let's be honest. Like, we're all three of us. We've either we're married now or we've been married, whatever. Like, we all know what that's like. But like, if you come home and the only person that you can relate to is a spouse, a wife, a husband, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care what side of the fence you're on that, but like, you're only going to get one side, and that side's going to be very like geared towards you and what they think you want to hear and this and that. There's something to be said about having like someone that you can sit down across the table in a dive bar, have a fucking beer, and just talk. And maybe someone punches you in the face a little bit with some stuff, and you're like, you know what? Maybe you're a piece of shit. Maybe, have you thought about that? Like, there's something to be said about that. If I just go home with every problem I have and I talk to my wife about it, guess what? She's going to cheerlead for me, and she's going to talk about how the world's against me and I'm right and everyone else is wrong and blah, blah, blah. And it's not going to be very productive. I actually sometimes need a little bit of accountability where I need someone to sit down across the table from me and be like, hey, have you ever thought that maybe you're a piece of shit a little bit right now?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a value to that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest values I think personally about having a brotherhood is you got guys to hold you accountable. Hey, you're fucking up. You're not seeing this straight. You're not thinking with a clear head, and to call you out when you're not doing shit right.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we? I mean, we've known each other for 9-10 years. How many times have we had those conversations where we're like, hey, Tequila Papi, like, have you ever thought about this?
Yeah.
And we're like, man.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a tremendous amount of value in having somebody in your life that can call you on your own bullshit.
Yeah, and your
right.
spouse is less likely to do that because your spouse just wants to keep a happy home. Your spouse keep the peace. Like, hey, I don't want the Netflix to get shut off. Like, let's just
right.
You know, sometimes you need someone who has nothing to gain from it, nothing to lose from it. And they're like, you know what? Here's how I see it. Go fuck yourself.
That's where I think the crude and rude part comes in. It's the rude, right? That you guys are just gonna call it how you see it.
Yeah, I can speak to you guys way differently than I can speak to my wife.
Yeah.
Because my wife, like, I have to use certain words. I have to use love languages. I have to fucking... Not that she can't take it. Trust me, she's been with me for 27 years because she can. But I'm just saying that, like, it's easier for me to sit there and call you guys out on your shit, and I'm sure that goes both ways, than me to say, like, hey, you fucked that up to her. You know what I mean?
I feel like my friends that don't have a group that they're meeting with other men probably have this most pent-up resentment in their relationship because they're not just like, hey, dude, this kind of frustrated me, and then I share that with you guys, and you're like, yeah, I can see that. Here's where, I can see your wife's perspective or whatever. But the friends that are just like, no, I hang out with my wife 24/7. I watch whatever she wants to watch on Netflix. That's life. Like, they don't have happy marriages ever. They're just resentful the whole time. Or we get to like vent it a little bit, get to bounce some ideas, get to come inspired back home a little bit.
We're probably better husbands to our wives because we go out and we blow
talk
off
shit.
Well, we talk shit. I think there's a value to that. Like,
Right.
not to sabotage the conversation or go off base too much, but like, I come home from a thirsty Thursday night and Lauren probably gets a better version of me. Well, that's probably not true. But Friday, it's a better version for sure.
Well, how much better is it that we vented some of that frustration for that week and just got it out, and we're like, yeah, I've been through that too, and it's like, oh, okay, that's just marriage.
Let's be honest, we're all going to talk shit. It's going to happen one of two ways. We're going to either talk shit amongst a safe group of friends, or we're going to go home and talk shit to our spouses. They don't want that. They don't want to hear that shit. Yeah. They don't want to hear all of our gross little jokes and stuff. Like, no.
So you're advocating that your position is that by having a group of guys to hang out with, you're actually benefiting your spouse and your relationship by relieving your spouse of some of the shit that you can dump on your friends.
So 3 times a year, Lauren has to come pick me up from our watering hole.
Three
times a year. Roughly, yeah. Year, quarter, whatever. Regardless, 3 times a year, I'm going to say, Lauren has to pick me up from our, oh shit, I said names. from our local watering hole. I think that that's a good trade-off versus me just coming home on time every single night, having all that pent-up aggression, that anger, that fucking, you're going through your daily work life, this and that, and then you just spew that shit on their foot.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, deal with that. I think she would much rather have what she has going on right now.
Yeah,
I mean, we can bring her on next week and we can ask her, but I'm pretty sure she would prefer that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times too, I as a husband, I don't want to share all the shit that's going on in life, like with my wife. Like I want to kind of keep myself like, it's cool, it's calm, because if I share that with her, now we got two people feeling chaotic about the same world we're living in.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
I can share that with you guys, I can feel better about it, we can get some ideas, then I can come home and to have a plan, rather than just being like, what do I do? And then she's freaking out. And
well, that's so true, because for us, we all, when we're talking to each other, we're not in the same bed. Like even though we all care about what each other's going through, like your work life doesn't affect my life. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna pay my mortgage regardless of what happens to you, vice versa, this and that. Whereas with a spouse, their well-being is tied to our work life, tied to whatever we're going through. So you made a good point. Like they can easily get riled up, and then sometimes they can't turn it off as well. So I would rather deal with that shit with peers, and then come home, be a little bit less aggro, a little bit less, you know what I mean? Like trying to solve this with my wife. So I can come home and just be like, hey, everything's cool. Or maybe we have a little bit of conversation, but there's been times where I've had in-depth conversations in some of my darkest moments in business or whatever, where I had no one else to turn to but my wife, and they carry that shit a little bit longer than I want them to. And so I think that's where the benefit of like that tribe comes in, where you're like, you can bounce these things off, you can plan, you can do all this stuff, and you can come home, you can be a different version, not a different version, but like a more subdued version.
Yeah. Don't you think that women have a different take on some of the problems that men deal with?
They definitely do. And one take, I know this from my wife, is we forget things quicker. We forgive, I would say, on average quicker, or at least than I'm talking about just my wife.
Did you say forgive or forget?
Both.
Both.
So like one of us could wrong the other one, and we'll make peace the next week or whatever, and we'll move on. If I bring that shit home to my wife and I tell her, and there's names involved in this and that, and then like a week goes by and I'm like, dude, I already got over that, and she's like, well, I didn't.
You're right.
Oh no, that person's dead to us. I'm like, to both of us?
But I think about the times where I've had business problems and I share it with you guys, and you have opinions. Hey, why don't you do this, do that? And I'm like, all right, we can climb out of this hole. If I share that with my wife, it's just like, all right, we got to cut off all spending. We're freaking out, no vacations, whatever. And instead of just like, oh, it sucks, but we got a plan.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, I think that's a indication or an example, a good example of how men and women problem solve differently, and they think they have different perspectives. They think about problems differently, and they think about solutions differently. And it's often very valuable to have a guy's perspective on a guy's issue. Like if I'm a guy with a guy's issue, it's gonna resonate a lot better with guys than taking it home to a spouse or a woman in your life who maybe doesn't understand.
Yeah, you can't be the hero in her life and also tell her all the problems.
No, you can't. And that's a struggle that we as men have in relationships, is that we can't be perceived. We're the leaders in the family, in the relationship. You can't come home and just dump a bunch of your day's problems on your spouse, because
it's really not even fair.
It isn't fair, but partly because
I mean fair to us, because when you dump them off on their shoes, it comes back to us.
Well, it does come back to you. But oftentimes women aren't necessarily equipped to handle some of the problems that men face on a daily basis.
Now,
nor do I want to hear about her problems the same
way. Hopefully she has a tribe.
Yes.
I will say this. I'm going back in my memory to like maybe one of my darkest business moments in life, and like there was no one else to turn to. And like I do think that our spouses, our wives, they do have, because of all the reasons why I said you don't want to always bring every little thing to them. when you have to bring something really heavy to them, I think they're probably the best to be there for that moment because they have your back no matter what, blah, blah, blah. Like I brought to my wife something, I mean, this is like 9-10 years ago, and it was heavy. It was like life changing. It was business changing. It was all these different things. And like, I knew that no one else cared about me more than she did in that moment.
Yeah.
And she had my back more than anyone else would. Well, because her bank account was linked to mine.
Yeah.
A lot of different things.
She had personal stake in it.
Right. So like, I think that there is times, like, I think there's a time and a place for all these different conversations with different people.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying like, don't talk to your spouse. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that sometimes some of the more superficial things, the lighter things, just scrub those out with your tribe and then go home and be a good husband. Go home and,
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That's where you can bullshit with the guys. You can throw some ideas out there, things that actually bother you, and go home with the real problems rather than just the, things that pissed you off for the day.
Yeah, like if you go home and you talk to your spouse about every fucking thing that goes sideways at work, holy shit. Good luck with that divorce.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that if you discuss these problems with your guy friends, you might actually go home with, you could talk to your wife now. Oh, well, I had this problem, but now I have these solutions. Because
so you look smart.
Friends, you look smart. Because you're regurgitating what your 8-10 friends told you should do.
Yeah.
So now you have 10 different ideas on how to solve the problem.
And then they think you're like good at algebra.
They're like, wow, he's a lot smarter than I remember him being.
So, like, what problem has been solved by going out and drinking on Thursdays?
I mean, mostly whether or not edible condoms actually do taste good. Just kidding.
And did you?
They do.
They do. Okay.
There you go.
We've cleared that up. Thank you, guys.
That's why he's part of the tribe.
I had no idea.
No. I mean, without getting into specifics, I don't want to get into specifics of any of our businesses, but I think that I bounced different things off of you guys. I know that you guys have off of me as well. I mean, it's a plethora. It's a plethora of different topics that we've all had conversations about. A lot of them don't make their way back to my wife, and good for her for that.
So have we actually helped you flesh some things out over the years?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Good. I think that we have wildly different businesses, but being able to talk to both of you about problems that make a difference in my life of a couple $100 a month. It's not life changing. Again, it's not worth stressing my wife about but you guys have perspectives that can make me fix that issue. But if I just went home and said, well, we lost $100 a month, like that's going to affect my life in a weird way of all these things that we can't do, rather than her just not knowing, not to hide it, but it's just like I identified it, I'm fixing it, and life's moving back on.
So it's not
rather
her problem.
than her being like, all right, well, should we not buy shoes for the kids this month?
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't do that. Like, I don't need you to be stressed, because that's going to stress me out twice as much now.
Yeah.
It's not a $100 problem. Now it's a $100 problem. My kids aren't putting shoes on their feet.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, I got to fix this,
Yeah, I mean, don't bring it up to your spouse until like you have to put them out on the street.
Yeah, the last minute. They love surprises. Yeah. Women, if I know anything about women, they love surprises.
That's kind of my general rule of thumb is like, don't bring it up to the spouse until like they have to hit the streets.
Yeah.
And
then pull it on them at the last minute. Hey, man,
and then we
got to pack a bag.
Surprise.
We're going.
You're a hooker now. Yeah.
I got a van. We're going to go live in a van down by the river starting tonight. So grab your favorite things.
Hopefully my father-in-law never watches this. I would never do that.
Well, that's good. Good stories on how the Brotherhood has helped everybody out in a certain situation, and if you're struggling, and even if you're not struggling, find yourself a tribe, find some brothers, find some guys who are like-minded, and hell, they don't even have to be like-minded.
I would almost argue against fully like-minded. Like, find a few that are not like-minded.
Yeah, that's. I was just going to make that point. because we all think we're right in our mind because that's how humans work.
Yeah, echo chambers are fun. but
Echo
they're-
chambers
like,
are the best.
but they're not always like the most productive.
No, they're not. But yeah. So find yourself a group of friends who are not like-minded, because they are, the challenge is where we grow. We grow when we're challenged.
I think with that too, like showing up every week, the amount of times you guys have been like, so what'd you do? I'm like, nothing. And you're like, so you got to do something this week, right?
Yeah.
Where if I just showed up when I got a problem, but never showed up to see if I solved the problem. So it's the accountability of the guys to be like, well, you got to do something. It may not be what you suggested, but you can't status quo it and expect a different outcome.
Yeah, action is more important than planning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I take away from having a group of friends is accountability, is motivation. You think about motivation. If you're working out or you're starting a new business venture and you need somebody to bounce ideas off of, to give you some motivation, to help inspire you, to push you in the direction of action. It helps both in your personal life as well as your business life.
So with that, how many push-ups have you done on a daily basis since last week?
Well, I missed a few days, but I'm still sticking with my 100.
Knocking them out.
And you know what? Tequila Papi's going to start a 100 push-up challenge in the coming weeks. That's going to be on a segment coming up in the next several weeks. We're going to do a 100 push-up challenge, and if you're not there yet, you will be by the end of the year.
Right.
How embarrassing would it be if Rob the Bod beats you at push-ups?
Ooh.
That would be embarrassing for you, or for me.
Both those hurt.
Is that a challenge?
When are we doing this?
Is that a challenge? Are we doing that now?
Let's pick a date.
I mean, we can do it now.
Or we wait until...
We could do it now. I don't care.
You want to do it now?
Let's do a start one.
Well, so obviously we can both do 100 push-ups. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
I love that I'm not even considered. In
Well,
this
you didn't
challenge.
even throw your head in the ring. I'm the one that's
I can't do it.
talking shit over here. We could do it now.
So do you want a week, or how
why
long
don't we just do it now?
How long do you need to do?
No, let's see where you're at now.
Well, isn't it a matter of an hour? I mean, the worst case.
No, I'm going to knock them out in a minute.
Oh, well, shit, then you'll win in a minute and I'll be done.
Okay, but you're still going to get your 100. You know what? That's an important lesson, too.
Well, hold on. I would still get my 100. It'll
You
be
still
after
get
you.
your 100 in. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to do it in a certain amount of time. The fact that you are willing and dedicated and committed to doing them is
hold
more
on.
important.
I haven't actually done them yet. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll revisit this in a few weeks.
Why don't we take a break? We come back after we both completed.
Okay. Well,
we both complete 100. It's either going to be in 5 minutes or it's going to be in 5 weeks.
yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
We come back and we're all tan and
Yeah.
it's summertime now. We're like, yeah. So Rodney finally finished.
He finally finished his 100 push-ups. No, but that's another way that a brotherhood helps you is keeping you motivated when you don't want to do something. You
pay your
don't wanna
taxes.
you don't want to pay your taxes. Yeah. I mean, hey, speaking about paying taxes, your brother can also teach you how to not pay your taxes if he figures it out first.
Well, then I have to talk to my accountant because so far I've been paying taxes.
Yeah,
And it's
I haven't
getting
figured it out
expensive.
yet. One of us has to figure it out. We've had a lot of great business ideas over the years, but
Wiener
none of
corner.
us have figured out how to not pay taxes.
Yeah, I can't get around that one. I'm just so afraid of jail.
I heard it's not that bad.
You can do a lot of push-ups.
I mean, I heard it's not that bad.
Well, let's take a break and do some push-ups.
We are nearing the end of this segment. We're going to have to wrap it up. But it's been a great conversation about brotherhood and bullshit. And I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I invited a lot of guys, in traditional brotherhood fashion. Some will show up and some won't. So I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight. It's been a great conversation. A lot of fun, actually, for me. Cheers, guys. Cheers. This is Tequila Papi. We're out for tonight, but we're going to be back in the coming weeks. and follow up this segment with some other Brotherhood and bullshit shit. So we hope you join us in the coming weeks on the Iron and Tequila Podcast. Thanks for joining us tonight.